With only 2 months left before the Empire officially launched its war against the Great Tomb, everything was already on a tight countdown. According to the simulation system Lin Tian relied on, that amount of time wasn't just sufficient, it was more than enough if everything went according to plan. Lin Tian turned his attention to the snow spirits and made his stance clear. He assured them that their safety would be guaranteed, as long as they handed over every snow spirit stone they produced. From their perspective, it was a simple trade: protection in exchange for resources. The spirits accepted almost immediately, leaving Lin Tian with nothing to do but wait patiently while the stones were continuously produced. At the same time, preparations for the final stage were already underway. To build a goblin army strong enough to matter in the coming conflict, Lin Tian personally led 1,000 goblins deep into the snow mountains for brutal, specialized training. There was no rest involved. The goblins fought non-stop, constantly consuming snow spirit stones supplied by the spirit. The effect was overwhelming. Like a violent flood tearing through the land, the goblin army swept across the entire region. Every monster they encountered became nothing more than sustenance. Each battle fed the goblins' experience, skills, and rapid growth. The results were far beyond expectations. Every single goblin climbed to level 70, steadily evolving into leader-tier beings. Some went even further, mutating into rare forms: giant goblins, goblin mages, demonic goblins, and other unstable variants. The most shocking development was the emergence of a mutant overlord class, Holy Sword Goblin. Its combat power alone reached an astonishing 5,500 points, standing far above the rest. Tian gave Alice direct orders to take over the goblins' combat training. He made it clear that she was to be relentless. While the goblins had undergone daily training in the past, their intelligence and levels back then had been too low to retain much of it. Most of that early training had likely faded away. Now, things were different. Every goblin had reached leader tier, with intelligence nearing completion. Teaching them techniques, formations, and battle instincts was no longer a struggle. Alice responded without hesitation. She expressed that formalities were unnecessary, especially with the final holy war approaching. She was fully prepared to give everything she had. Training began immediately. Battles erupted across the camp as Alice pushed the goblins to their limit. Armed with magical artifacts and guided by her ruthless instruction, the goblins sharpened themselves day after day. Movements became cleaner, attacks more precise, and coordination nearly flawless. Step by step, they stopped resembling ordinary monsters and started functioning like perfected killing machines, molded specifically for the war ahead. About 10 days later, everything was finally set. Before Lin Tian headed back to the tribe, he made one last arrangement. He promoted a mutant goblin who had already reached Overlord tier and appointed it as the overseer of the area, giving it the name Gobu Sword. The creature's body was abnormally sturdy, towering close to 2 meters tall, with muscles packed tightly beneath its green skin. In its grip rested a world-tier weapon, the Demon Sealing Sword. The blade had a terrifying ability. Any magical power directed at it would be absorbed, stored, and then hurled back at its attacker in return. Lin Tian spoke to it seriously, making sure the warning was unmistakable. From now on, Gobu Sword was to remain here without exception. Without direct orders, it was not allowed to step outside, not even a single pace. Hearing this, Gobu Sword responded without hesitation. It nodded hard, almost eagerly, making it clear it understood. In its mind, everything it possessed, its strength, status, and weapon, had all been granted by Lin Tian. Serving him with its life was only natural. Satisfied, Lin Tian acknowledged this loyalty and finally left, returning to the tribe alongside Alice. Time was becoming dangerously tight. There was no guarantee the Mindum Empire wouldn't choose today of all days to declare war. The pressure hung over him as he made his way back. When Lin Tian finally arrived and saw the sheer scale of the goblin population, even he couldn't hide his shock. The numbers were overwhelming. In just 2 months, the tribe had expanded far beyond what he had anticipated. He remembered asking for more goblins, but not this many. At present, the tribe housed roughly 80,000 small goblins, 30,000 large goblins, 8,000 hero race goblins, and 100 leader tier goblins. Just feeding them all was a nightmare. Every single day, tens of thousands of monsters were consumed simply to keep the tribe running. As soon as Lin Tian appeared, the girls within the tribe rushed over happily, surrounding him with excitement and relief at his return. Seeing his expression, Go quickly explained what had happened. Since Lin Tian had emphasized the need for more goblins, Go had gone all in, burning through massive amounts of resources to accelerate their reproduction. Lin Tian clicked his tongue in realization. That explained everything. On the way back, he had noticed something strange. High-level monsters were scarce, and low-level ones were practically non-existent. Now it made sense. The Great Tomb had clearly been stripped clean of its reserves to support this explosive growth. After processing that, Lin Tian shifted his focus and asked about someone else. Goblin still hadn't returned. That absence lingered in his thoughts, especially with war possibly looming any moment now. After checking the surroundings again and again, he still didn't spot that familiar figure anywhere. It felt wrong. Normally, the moment Lin Tian returned, that guy would already be there. When Lin Tian brought it up, Goang could only shake his head. He said no one had seen the man for over a month. The worry had been gnawing at him the whole time. He even muttered that the guy should be fine, right? Lin Tian frowned at that. He didn't like hearing it, but there wasn't time to go searching now. Whatever had happened would have to be dealt with later. He pushed the thought aside and turned to more urgent matters, asking the Goblin Slayer about the weapons. This was critical. Weapons decided everything, especially against low-tier goblins. Their defense was weak, but their numbers were terrifying. Give each of them even a scrap of iron, and it would be enough. One stab per goblin could easily send human soldiers straight to their grave. The Goblin Slayer pulled out a small notebook and began calculating carefully. He reported that they had prepared 50,000 short swords, 20,000 sets of iron armor, and another 20,000 long swords. On top of that were roughly 5,000 miscellaneous weapons. The rest of their stockpile consisted mostly of shields, spears, and lances. He added that time had been the biggest issue. If they'd had more of it, everyone could have been equipped with iron weapons and properly fitted armor. Lin Tian gave a low hum after hearing the report. He didn't ask for more. From his point of view, this was already well beyond expectations. He made it clear that the work done so far was more than enough. Then everything shifted. A black shadow rushed in at full speed, clearly panicked. The man barely slowed down as he shouted that the situation had changed. They needed to leave immediately. At this point, he said, there was basically no chance of winning anymore. Everyone frowned and turned toward the voice. It was Go Tien. His body was marked with several wounds, and his face was tight with anxiety. Goang hurried forward and supported him before he could stumble. Lin Tian stepped closer, keeping his tone steady as he told him not to panic and to explain exactly what had happened. Go Tien tried to calm himself, though his breathing was still uneven and his emotions far from settled. Once he managed to speak clearly, he delivered the news. The Lionheart Empire had already mobilized 100,000 soldiers, every single one of them fully equipped in heavy armor. The words hit like a blow. Lin Tian felt his heart skip for a brief moment as the meaning sank in. 100,000 heavily armored soldiers. The situation had just escalated far beyond what they'd prepared for. Everyone understood just how terrifying a fully armored soldier really was. Wrapped head to toe in heavy steel, they were basically walking iron boxes. Hard to break, hard to stop. Sure, they weren't fast like lightly armored troops, but they didn't need to be. They advanced steadily, grinding enemies down through sheer endurance. And now, the Lionheart Empire had somehow equipped 100,000 of these monsters. The moment Lin Tian realized that, everything clicked. That had to be the reason. In every previous simulation, no matter how the situation was adjusted, the result was always the same: his death. The picture became clearer in his mind. The Lionheart Empire was likely ready to burn through its entire national treasury just to win this war. Even if they survived, the losses would leave them so weakened that neighboring nations could easily swoop in and devour what remained. Alice, standing quietly beside him, looked just as grim. She warned that this time, it wasn't only the Lionheart Empire they were up against. The church was involved too. From her point of view, the priority was survival, endure now, no matter how humiliating it felt. The church was almost certainly mobilizing its full strength, and there was a real risk that they could be wiped out completely. That concern was quickly backed up. Reports confirmed that the church had already gathered nearly 5,000 people from across the world. Among them were 500 Holy Crusader guards, all wearing heavy armor and carrying massive greatswords. And the rest, priests and supporters alike, were far from harmless. Goblin Slayer added his thoughts as well. He suggested that retreating might still be an option. If given time, he could subjugate a super great overlord race tribe and use that power to flip the situation around later. Lin Tian listened, then responded slowly, almost calmly. Retreating sounded simple, but the reality was cruel. With goblins spread across the entire continent, where could they even go? Was there any place in this world large enough to hide an entire goblin tribe? To be born a goblin, he said, was to be born with sin already stamped onto your existence. Because of their low status, everyone wanted to beat them, hunt them, erase them. Their only perceived value was to serve as sacrifices to fuel the rise of stronger races. Even goblin kings never lived long, eventually hunted down and exterminated by humans or something worse. Those words cut deep. Even the elf queen, listening quietly, felt a heavy ache in her chest. Still, she believed that confronting the Empire head-on right now would only lead to annihilation. Years of effort, planning, and sacrifice would vanish in an instant. But Lin Tian didn't see things the same way. He didn't dwell on the lives or deaths of small goblins or large ones. To him, hesitation was the real death sentence. If they were going to fight, then they would fight to the bitter end. And if they chose not to fight, then nothing would ever change. He understood that better than anyone. In his mind, only one outcome offered even a slim chance of survival. Once war truly erupted, the great tomb of Nazar would be forced to intervene. That intervention would cause devastating losses on both sides, and in that chaos, the goblin tribe might finally slip through the cracks and survive. With that decision settled, Lin Tian wasted no time. Orders went out immediately. Every ounce of strength was to be mobilized. More weapons and armor were to be forged without delay. All preparations were to be completed at once. There was no turning back now.